This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, welcome to We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. My name is Carol Merton. Our participants are sharing their stories to increase awareness and understanding about the challenges of everyday living and survival. Some are unhoused, and some are at risk of not having a roof over their heads. I thank those support agencies and services who work hard every day to meet people's needs and who have helped in the development of this program. We're actually taping this program on location at Safe and Sound, and from time to time you may hear some noises in the background where our participants are gathering in other rooms, but we are delighted that they have allowed us to come into the facility and to tape these interviews. So thank you again for joining us, and I especially want to thank my very first participant in this program, and that's Tim. Thank you, Tim. We've created some questions that we wanted to be able to run by the participants to get their comfort level, and they have helped to design for each one that's going to be interviewed in this series the questions they feel comfortable answering. And that is a big help, because there's nothing worse than being asked something that you don't want to answer. So thank you very much, Tim.
You're welcome.
So we're going to begin with the question, how long have you lived in Owen Sound?
6 months.
6 months, okay. Now, what brought you to the city and why do you stay?
I used to live in Hanover at the farm until it burned down. And when it burned,
At the fire in Hamilton, okay.
Hanover.
Hanover.
Yeah.
Okay.
I ended up going to housing and they put me in here and I just haven't left yet.
So, you're looking for something, but
Yes.
you're currently haven't been able to find anything else at the moment. Would you consider yourself homeless?
Yes.
Because? No roof, no
There's
solid roof?
no rooms or anything available to be rented. If there is, they're like, we can't afford them.
Yeah. So, can you tell us about what led you to becoming homeless?
When the farm burnt,
Yeah.
that was a place in Hanover. I lived there for 4.5 years.
Did you? 4.5 years there. So, not only did you lose the roof over your head, but you've come to another community. So, a whole big adjustment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, is there a part of the town that you spend most of your time in?
Nah, just all over.
You're all over. Is that because there's no place that appeals particularly, or is it because it just doesn't
I
feel
just
like...
don't like people. I don't like crowds. So.
Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
you're talking to me, Tim, but crowds...
You are lucky because I'm not a people person.
So crowds make you uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah. But having a conversation one-on-one with me,
I got no issues with that, but I just
Great.
don't like crowds.
yeah. What's the most difficult thing about living in Owen Sound?
Trying to find housing and surviving day by day.
Yeah. If you had a roof over your head, would you feel more confident with surviving day by day?
Oh, well, yeah. Anybody would.
Yeah, that's right. Anybody would. Exactly. So we're going to talk a little bit now about well-being and health. What are the most important things to you that you need each day?
Food, roof, and money.
Food, shelter, and money. The basics, but
That's it.
absolutely essential.
If you got the three of them, you got it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Where do you go for food and any other support or things that you need?
usually through the Salvation Army.
So when you visit there, what sorts of things do they provide at the Salvation Army that help you?
Food, clothes,
Yeah.
Just
like
basics.
the basics, yeah, that you mentioned before. We're in the summer when we're taping this, but where do you get warm in the winter or cool down in the summer?
Usually TD Bank, but anywhere where there's an air conditioner.
So you will go to bank institutions, anywhere where you can locate an air conditioner. So what happens when those buildings close down? Where do you go?
Kind of gets your shit house out of luck.
You're out of luck. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you have to actually hunt for a place to cool down or to get warm.
Yep.
Yep. Have you ever had to stay in an actual shelter? If you don't mind me asking, where was that shelter?
The first shelter I stayed in was Kitchener.
Kitchener? Okay. Yeah. And have you also accessed the short stay motel program? I know there is one in this area.
I was on it, but right now, the only way you can get on it, you have to pay for 2 nights in a hotel room before they'll put you back on the list. I was on it when I first come out here, but then I ended up, I forget how I got off it, but I'm in the process of trying to get back on it, so it'll be a better chance on getting housing.
Yes. So if you're able to get into the shelter program, they work with you to try and find housing.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're not in there, it's harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much harder.
Yeah. Sounds like housing is the key in many ways to starting feeling secure. Yeah. Yeah. So, do you ever spend the night outside?
Every night.
So you are outside every night.
Well, in a tent, but yeah, outdoors.
Do you have a tent? Yeah, yeah. When you pick your place to stay, this is where, how do you pick the place to sleep? What
I
makes,
like privacy.
okay,
I don't like sitting up around other people because people steal from you.
people,
Steal from you.
so what things you have you need to keep and you want to know that they're not going to be stolen from you. Okay, so if I was to look for a place to stay overnight tonight and I had a tent, I would want to be in a place where seclusion. Okay, so and how do you stay safe? Like, how do you protect yourself if you're
Have protection in your tent with you.
okay? So you always
I
have, yeah. So you have ways to keep yourself protected,
Oh yeah.
and you stay away from others as much as you can. Okay, so this is really helpful because this is the part of information that
Not a lot of people know about it.
exactly. Exactly. It's not. I'm learning from you because who knows what the future holds for any of us, and I think it's important for us to know that it takes hard work to stay safe when you don't have a roof, and thinking of things that probably wouldn't occur to a lot of people.
A lot of people take being homeless as being a bum. It ain't a choice that we make.
You're not a bum. That's what you're saying. You don't choose this. It happens. And it happens to a lot of people.
Too many.
Yeah, yeah. Are there reasons why you might avoid seeking help? This is different than the safety part.
Well, after you get turned down so many times, why waste your time?
So you get discouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you find it hard then to keep going. Wow. So it must do something to you when you ask for help and then you're turned away. I mean, that would be difficult.
It's hard.
Yeah. Very hard. I'm flipping the page here. I gotta follow these notes, you know. How do you keep in touch with your home community or family if you don't live close to them?
I don't.
So you're on your own.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
so-
no good to get a phone or anything because if you turn your back, boom, it's gone.
So even having a telephone wouldn't necessarily help you.
No.
Because it's stolen. That's a risk.
This year I'm after losing 7 cell phones and 3 tablets.
Wow.
And it's not even 6 months yet, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah. I would imagine those are particularly valuable items for people, and that's why they go after them, for sure, for sure. So,
A lot of people steal them for dope.
really?
Take them and trade them off for dope or something.
So they sell them for drugs, for dope. Yeah, that's their way of getting.
They're fixed.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're out somewhere, and I'm not asking you where, because you wouldn't tell me, and I don't want to know, because that's your safe place. But let's say you're out in your tent. What happens if you need help and you don't have a phone because they get stolen on you? Like, what do you do?
Well, you stay within distance of people, just not right in the crowd.
Gotcha.
Like, more or less on the outskirts.
Okay. So that's another way that you choose your safe place, is you know if you need help, you're not so far away that you can't actually get help. Okay. Boy, this is a real science to pick out a place to stay that when you don't have a roof over your head, for sure. Now, do you move often your tent? Do you pack up your tent and leave?
No, I've only had to move twice so far this year.
Okay. So your choices are really good. Yeah, yeah. It's
I usually go with places where, like private property, where people just ain't allowed.
Yeah. You have to pick your spot. Yeah, yeah. So, what would make your life better?
Having a roof over.
That's the big deal. It's the most important. Yeah, yeah. And it wouldn't have to necessarily be a house. It could be a room,
a bungalow,
an apartment,
cardboard box, like.
Yeah, just to have something more permanent for you. Yeah. What do you think it would take for that to happen? Somebody to be able to provide that to you.
Take, like, these buildings that they're closing down, take them and convert them into a place for homeless people.
Yeah.
Rent them in, like, low-income housing or something.
Yeah.
That'd help a lot of people.
Yeah. In other words, look at some of the facilities that you need to have.
That they're closing down and destroying.
Yeah.
Just sink a couple $1,000s into them, fix them up.
So we have only 1 minute left before we have to sign off. I could talk to you for hours. If you had 3 wishes, what would they be?
A roof over my head, my son.
Yeah.
Just.
Good friends.
Yeah.
So family, friends, and a roof over your head. I want to thank you for being on the program today. It is a pleasure to have met you and talked to you. Thank you for joining us. Please stay tuned to hear more stories and voices of those with lived experiences. I'm Carol Merton. Take care. Thank you.
Johnny wanted to go back home. It was 1,000 kilometers away. They forced him to go to the Indian residential school. More than 150,000 of us children had to go. They wanted to change us.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name.
Hallowed be your name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
Kill the Indian and the child. It's been called cultural genocide. I survived residential school. My brother Johnny did not.
Chani Wenjack was one of thousands of children who died due to Canada's residential school system. More than 80,000 survivors and their families still live with its legacy today.
Lovely viewers, it's your host of On the Couch, Antoine El Hashim, reminding you to tune in for every episode of Season 9 of the longest running and most loved local queer talk show on Rogers TV. Check it out.
Hello and welcome to We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. My name is Carol Merton. The participants in this program are sharing their stories to increase awareness and understanding about the challenges of everyday living and survival. Some are unhoused, and some are at risk of losing the roof over their heads. I thank those support agencies and services who work hard every day to meet people's needs and who have helped in the development of this program. We're actually taping live today at Safe and Sound here in Owen Sound. We're in one of the back rooms, and you may hear noise from time to time from the participants who are entering to use Safe and Sound services. So the interview will continue, but if you happen to hear some background noise, that's what it's all about. And I am delighted to welcome Chris to the program today, who's here to talk to me about lived experiences. Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. So I do have some questions for you, and I'll try and keep them in order, but I can't guarantee, that's for sure.
That's okay. We're not all perfect.
I admit that I am not.
That's true.
So how long have you lived in Owen Sound?
All my life, and then I'll tell you, it's the experience, and now I've been homeless for 2 months now, and it's something I have to experience. I haven't experienced the winter yet, and I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of people I meet, and there's people go and come.
Yeah. So basically, what happened? If you don't mind me sharing with me, how did you become homeless? What happened, Chris?
Drugs.
Okay.
And losing the apartment.
Okay. So drug use was an issue.
Yep. I got off it real quick because it's not like to be on it. I see a lot of people. I always had those kids in the house and that. I had a roommate. Always didn't tell me a year later. And he was on it, and then I took another fellow in. He got me in the up and that, and I said, I'll tell you one thing about it. It doesn't do me any good.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm so grateful I got off it, and I live my day with God.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, and it takes a lot of courage to admit what you just did, and you touch my heart. That's not an easy thing to say, so thank you for sharing. What was it really hard? Were you able, I mean, it's never easy to get off drugs, but were you able to get the support that you needed to help you?
I quit cold turkey.
Wow.
And one thing about it, that down is dangerous and that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I saved my roommate 18 times, and it's...
Oh my goodness. So if it wasn't for you, your roommate would have passed away.
Yep.
You saved your roommate. Wow.
Except I talked to his mom quite a bit. She's a Christian, and I fell down a bit, and she encouraged me to bring my faith back up.
Yeah, and that's helped you. So
Yeah.
you mentioned you've been homeless for about 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
But previously, have you also had experiences where you had times where you were homeless, or is this your first time being
This
homeless?
is the first time.
Wow. So that's a challenge, big time.
Right now, I'm staying in a tent at the KOA, and every morning around 4 o'clock, I go clean the washrooms and that stuff. My costs came down a lot in that campground and that.
Yeah, because you do that, because you're cleaning the washrooms.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I do all the maintenance right now, and then at 6 o'clock till 9, I register the people into the park.
Yeah. So even though you're homeless, you basically have a job. You are doing what you can to cut down the costs for you to actually stay at the campground. So you are doing a focused, purposed life, even without a roof over your head, to be able to help you survive. That's remarkable. Remarkable.
It was like 2 nights ago. I seen a guy down at the harbor wall. He was talking about Christianity, and then we got talking.
Yeah.
And after we talked a bit, and I went on my way, the next day I go to Circle K, and he says, "I would like to go in the store. I can't go in without a shirt." And he didn't have any shirt, no shoes.
Oh my goodness. So what happened?
I gave him a shirt.
You gave him a shirt. Wow. So he could go in the store.
And after he went in the store, I looked down and I said to him, "You don't have shoes and it's raining." And I said to Johnny, "I know you live at the Coach. Do you have any extra pair of shoes you can give this young?"
Yeah.
And what I did, I reached out more.
Yeah.
He told me more about him. We sat up till 3 in the morning at the KO. I took him back and then I got a chance to meet his family out at KO.
Wow.
And they're having a hard time too. And she has 4 kids, and I never seen as like fridge empty and like that. And it's like
It's hard. It's hard to see.
And it's a wonderful thing, like he did. He lives in Waterloo, Kitchener, and he took me under his wing yesterday afternoon, get me away from down by the library and all that.
Yeah.
And all my friends said, "He's being a snob." I'm not being a snob.
You need to be where it's best for you.
And then, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I told him, and he said to me, "Chris, you're going shopping today. We're buying you some new clothes."
Ah.
And
so you were able to do that.
no, he wanted me to go, 'cause I never seen so much clothes he bought.
Oh my goodness. So I want to talk to you, Chris, about your health. I have some questions about well-being and health. So how hard is it for you to take care of your health now that you're homeless? How do you stay healthy?
We have these paramedics come in here, and I tell you, they're the greatest bunch. When my mom needed them from the house and that, I'll tell you, if we didn't have that, like, they do that in one country in Spain. They actually do house calls like that.
So you're talking about the paramedics who actually come, and now they come here and they go to the farmers market as well. So they help you keep your health good. Let me ask you, I know you're only 2 months into being homeless. If you get a heat wave, where do you go to cool down? Where would you go to stay cool if there was really boiling hot weather?
Jump in the water.
Okay. And I know you haven't had a winter yet, but what will you do to stay warm in the winter?
I learned how to build igloos when I was a Boy Scout and that. And I'll tell you, I would do that because I know the igloos are warm.
Okay, so you're applying the skills you learned in your earlier years, or you would apply if you needed to. Have you ever stayed overnight in a short stay motel?
Nope.
No?
Now, I'll tell you why I won't do that.
Yeah?
Because I'm under and there's bed bugs and that. And I'll tell you, I went through it.
Okay.
At home, and I brought some home, and my mom, we caught it before it got worse.
Right. So that's a concern, big time. Yep. Now, you are currently with a tent. So have you ever been where you didn't have a tent and you had to sleep without anything?
No, not yet.
Well, let's hope not.
That's true.
It's just a question on the list. I don't want it necessarily to happen. Now, from your perspective, where is a good place for you to hang out with your friends? Now, you mentioned a couple of places, but
right now I'm met that gentleman and we talked about Christianity, I'll tell you, he took me under his wing for the day, and then I enjoyed my day away from the riffraff.
Okay.
And
So you there are places you don't want to be.
that's true.
And you need to be where you're comfortable with.
That's right.
Yeah, and you get to know those places pretty quickly. Yeah, yeah. So how do you keep touch with friends, home, family? How do you keep touch with people?
I don't have family at all.
So you're on your own. Yeah. So having friends, where do you meet people? Like you mentioned you talk to someone, but where do you go to even be around people?
Here at Safe and Sound,
Okay.
St. Andrew's Church, I help out with the food bank every Monday.
Ah, right. So you go where people are because that's important for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a person who wants to be isolated or alone.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So
And then one thing about homeless and that, when you see it, it's getting really bad, and you see the garbage on the cliffs and that, it's terrible. They leave it behind. And right now, the sportsmen now are taking different areas to clean up the environment at Warren Sound.
yeah.
And I'll tell you, we didn't have those people helping.
Yeah.
The community like that.
So you notice sometimes that there is garbage left around when people have no place to put it, like they're homeless, right?
Yeah.
But other organizations, they're able to be able to help.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you very much for being on the program today. Our producer has signaled to me that we talked a lot, and then we go, it's time for me to sign off. I wish you all the best, and I hope that you're able to find a place to stay and be safe. Thank you for being here.
That's what I'm going to do this year, and I actually have faith in God and everybody out there to see what it's about.
Thank you. And thank you to our viewing audience for joining us for the program We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. Please join us again to learn more about services for those who are homeless, but also about the voices of lived experiences. Take care.
Call the Rogers TV Viewer Response Line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
Sports fans know Sundays are for football. That's why you need NFL Sunday tickets. With NFL Sunday Ticket, you'll get every live game, every Sunday afternoon, all season long. Follow your favorite teams and players live in HD. Order NFL Sunday Ticket and get up to 200 regular season games. Call 1-888-ROGERS-1 today.
Hi, I'm Krista McKee of Wandering Grey Bruce. This season, we will be meeting some real